and rise to the next stage of your evolution, then monthly life coaching services at osirislife.com are just for you. Osiris Life does not just focus on spiritual development, we offer a holistic approach to helping you realize your goals and teach you the tools to overcome any barriers to your success. Services at Osiris Life are provided on a monthly basis and include, but are not limited to, spiritual consultations and one-on-one coaching, instructionals via podcasts and videos, life mapping and goal tracking, anonymity, spiritual work done on your behalf, and there are 3 package levels to choose from. Take the steps to get your life on track and flourishing by purchasing a subscription package today at osirislife.com. We invite you to share in the power of goodwill by becoming an ANU Nation sponsorship partner. ANU Nation is a community design organization whose programs and services often depend on sponsors and philanthropic support from foundations, businesses, and generous individuals like you. Our sponsorship program provides involvement by our affiliates in the 5 major markets, plus the impact of an international media campaign. By partnering with us, you join a powerful movement that supports thousands of people who find healing and personal growth and development with our help. For more information and to purchase a sponsorship package today, please visit us at anunation.org/anu/sponsor-us.
Get up, take a stand. Do you wanna live? Or do you wanna die? Take a stand, get up. Refuse the limitations, make the greatness. Spiritual courage is the genius in its maintenance. Become a rule as battle is present. Look around, see the system failed it. Energy is sharp, gon' liberate the soul. Resurrected from the tomb, my agon flow smooth. Taking back our creation, balance in the nation. Steady in creation, casualties at war. Behold the pale horse, first defense and stride. Didn't keep a young family tight with the strength of the guard.
Peace, everyone. Peace. And welcome to another segment of Thunderground Thursday on enlightenment and transformation. Of course, as always, I want to thank you all for tuning in. You know, I am Yuya, also known as Chief Yuya, and it's always a pleasure and an honor to build with you all, whether it be via emails that come in after the show or just the call-ins. Let me give you the number for those of you who are listening from the net or listening right now on YouTube, because we are also simultaneously broadcasting on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/enlightenment and transformation TV. I urge you all to go there and subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comment on the videos, share the videos, just use the videos all up. You know, it's kind of what we're going to talk about today a little bit. Using. But you know, I just want to welcome you all. I see some people are on the phone lines already. I'm going to give you all the number and let you know how you can speak, as I know some of you already know because your hands up. So 347-945-7680 is the call-in number. Again, that is 347-945-7680. And if you want to speak or ask a question or anything like that, all you have to do is hit the number 1. If you hit the number 1, we can all hear you and we can all build with you, which of course is what we want to do. That's what we're here for. So again, you know, just hit the number 1 and I'll take you in. And if you just want to listen, that's cool too. You know, I just started doing the live shows recently, but for the past 4.5 years, the Thursdays and Friday shows have been primarily pre-recorded lectures. So, you know, it's always a treat when people call in, but don't worry, I always have something. If I need to talk, for the entire time, I can do that, or I should say teach, because I don't think I'm just talking. Yeah, I don't think my specialty is small talk. But so if you just want to call in and listen, that's cool. Or if you want to talk, that's cool too. Whatever you want to do, just go on and do it. You know, whatever you will is the whole of the law. So anyway, we're coming up to the herb webinar. I'm sorry, the oils webinar is coming up this Monday, the 12th, and the magic of oils. And that'll be facilitated by Sister Kim, and she'll be diving into some of the concepts that she and I have been building on the back end, in terms of just how we're using certain things, and how to use certain things, how not to use certain things, where to get certain things, where not to get certain things. That's always, to me, like a stickler with herbs and oils, because not all herbs and oils are created equal, and not all are housed equally. That's a really important thing for you guys to understand. Not everyone houses their herbs and oils properly. Also depending on the environment. Like, there's a botanica here in the New York area that sometimes I go to. They have good stuff, because I'm not a big botanica person. I usually like to make most of the stuff that I use, and if I can't make it, then there's only a few people I buy from. This one is cool because, well, the prices are decent. In a pinch, like if I'm in the city and I'm doing some work with someone and I'm like, okay, we need this real quick, boom, we can go there and get it. But the energy there is so bad that I really don't like buying from there. Like, not that the people are rude or anything like that. It's none of that. But every time you go in there, you leave completely drained and exhausted. So where your herbs and your oils and your spiritual tools sit is a critical thing. The environment that they're sitting in is a critical thing. So you always want to take that into account. Like the it's funny, the stuff that we have on Alpha Omega, most of those things are coming from a shrine environment, so they're charged. Like, it's funny, I had given some herbs to a woman a couple months ago that I had for her, and I hadn't activated the herbs yet, but and she's a Ianifa. She's got a massive amount of godchildren. I mean, more than I can even count, like hundreds and hundreds of godchildren. And we were building, because I support her Ile. So I had given her some herbs, and she was like, ooh, and like she got all giddy. She's like, oh, you activated them for me. Thank you so much. And oh, they feel so good in my hand. They're so happy. And she was like, you activate. And I didn't even, like, she was so excited. I really even had a heart to tell her. I told her later in the spot, like, no, I didn't activate them. That's just how my shrine feels. The environment is important because it brings life to things. I told her later, like, hey, you might want to, you can still activate them if you want. She was like, no, but you did such a good job. And then I was like, nah, I actually didn't activate them. Just take my little sip home. It's like, so yeah, environment where your stuff is critical. We always got to kind of think about that and, take that into consideration. But there was a term that I used this Sunday. I mean, I've used it before, but I used it this Sunday, and after I said it, I kind of asked myself, or I just kind of checked in with myself, and I said, I hope the people understand where I'm coming from. I hope they understand what I'm saying. And the term that I used was anoint. I was talking about how you can use your oils to anoint your sacred objects, right? And I know a lot of times when we think about the term or the idea anoint, right? To anoint something, most of the time when we think about it, we're thinking about it in, like, a Christian sense, like anointing oil and things like that. And the idea of anointing is not necessarily a biblical idea. You know, the term to anoint something is not even necessarily a biblical term. Okay, when you're anointing something, and I was using that. I was using that in the sense of talking about anointing your sacred objects in your shrine, or even in your home. So I was thinking about it, and I said, I hope people didn't think I was trying to take them back to church or anything like that. So I said, maybe I'll build on that this evening as it relates to our activism work. Okay, so let's get into it for a second. I know a lot of times when we think of anointing, I have a feeling, by the way, if anybody calls and just let me know, I think Blog Talk is dropping you guys, because I'm seeing a whole bunch of people on the switchboard in the back end, and then you guys are disappearing, and then you're coming back, and you're disappearing, and you're coming back. Is Blog Talk dropping your calls? One of you, when you call in, just let me know. I mean, I can't do anything about it, but it is good to know when they're messing up. So let's get into anointing, right? The idea of anointing, the ideal of anointing something or anointing someone, is basically preparing something for use. Okay, so I mean, if we take it from just the basic understanding of anointing means to rub or smear something onto, typically oil, to rub or smear something onto an object or a person. Okay, so a lot of times when you're in church, say for instance, and they anoint you with olive oil, they'll put it on your forehead, or they might put it other places, but they're going to rub it on you, or they're going to smear it on you. By very basic definition, this is the idea of anointing. But I wanted to maybe elucidate the idea for those of us who are working from the paradigm of okay, I think we got an issue here. You guys just give me one sec. I think we got an issue with something. Just give me one sec, and I'll be right back.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Kim, host of Yuya Assaan-ANU, co-host of Chief Speaks, and a member of the Sadulu House Spiritual Center. And I would like to invite you all to Sadulu House's webinar, The Magic of Essential Oils. This webinar is the second in a series of webinars where I discuss herbs, oils, and alchemy in order to be more effective in your spiritual work. In The Magic of Essential Oils, I will discuss ways to make your own oils, explain how to use oils to open and activate your pineal gland, show you how to use oils to anoint sacred objects, and much more. So if you're ready to kick your ritual work up a notch, this is one webinar you don't want to miss. For more information and to RSVP, go to anunation.org/anu/events/oils. This is a live webinar that you will be able to access from the comfort of your own home or even your mobile device. The webinar will be packed with valuable information that will empower you to be more efficient and knowledgeable in your personal spiritual work. We will start promptly on October 12th at 7 p.m. and it will last until 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you're registered before the date of the event, and I will see you there.
Okay. Coming back again. I think we may be having an issue on Blog Talk with the audio. No big surprise there. And this is one of the reasons why we are simultaneously broadcasting on YouTube, because sometimes there's issues and problems with the Blog Talk audio. So that's why we're currently also on YouTube as well, in the event that the Blog Talk piece doesn't come out. But anyway, anyone who is on Blog Talk or on YouTube, even if you're listening, do me a favor, call in on Blog Talk and just let me know if you hear me. Okay, I'm being told that you cannot hear me on Blog Talk. I don't know. Hopefully we'll fix it. I think it's an issue with Blog Talk because that's just what Blog Talk does. Okay, so I think we're having an issue. Let's see if I can hear something from Blog Talk. I'm gonna bring Sister Kim in. Sister Kim, can you hear me? Okay. So it seems as though we're getting no audio at all from Blog Talk because I just brought Kim in and she can't hear us at all. So um whatever. Yeah, we'll figure it out later. Sometimes you can get so. Let's see. I'm saying I'd bring another person. Okay, you're on Thunderground Thursday. Can you hear me? Yep. See, no audio. No audio. So thank you, person, for calling in. I think I know who you are. All right. We'll fix the Block Talk thing. So let's just say we'll open up the phone lines a little later after we figure out what the heck happened. Okay. This is kind of like what anointing is in a sense, when we're anointed to do a certain thing, we're charged to do something, or more so, I should say that we're empowered and enabled to do that thing, so very similar, like, a lot of times when we go through different issues with, with just our environment, things that we would normally and maybe even instinctually complain about, the anointing of us, or anointing of an object, or just the idea of it really calls us to say, you know what, if I can do something about this, I'm going to do something about it. If I have the ability to heal this situation or to fix this situation, then I'm going to heal and fix it. Okay. So the anointing of an object or the anointing of your body, whether it be through oil or anything else, what that is really a process of enabling and empowering. Okay. It's enabling and empowering. So, the idea, right? Let's get back to the idea. Okay. I'm coming in on Blog Talk on another way.
Welcome
just so
to
you
Blog
guys
Talk
know.
Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Check it out. See if we can hear it. If we can hear everything. But yeah, going back to what I was talking about. So that idea, right?
Unmuted.
Okay, so now you guys let me know if you can hear me on Blog Talk. Those of you who are in. But anyway, so the idea of I'm gonna bring you and I'm gonna ask you, sis. Can you hear me? Yep, I think you can, because I can hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Sister M. I think she can hear me. She doesn't realize I just unmuted her mic. But I hear a little bit of her house in the background, so I think she can hear me. All right. Anyway, so yeah, and somebody just let me know. Hit the number 1 so I can pick you up and then tell me if you can hear me or not on Block Talk. All right. But yeah, so just the idea of anointing something, right? Because I really would like to get back to that. Okay, it's working. Thank you. We had to go through a back way for some reason. I don't know. That's the thing. We could sit around and talk about how things don't work or how messed up they are, or we can empower ourselves to do something about it. That empowering, the idea of empowering ourselves at that level, that's what the anointing is. It's an empowering of something to be used. So, for instance, like I told you earlier, the idea of anointing, just in base definition, means to smear or rub something. Typically, you're smearing or you're rubbing it with oil. Now, why are you doing that? Because there's a proverbial oil that exists within you. I said something on a show recently, and Sister Kim, she was going to do a Wednesday show on it. And I said, hold out, because I don't know if people are really ready for that. I'm going to share just a little bit of it, but I'm not going to say too much of it. And on the show, I said, oils are the emotions of a crystalline form. So we know we have crystals, right? And crystals, they encapsulate a moment, or a time. They crystallize it, right? And that's a form of documenting a certain energy or a certain moment. And then there's a flowing, an outpouring or an outflowing of that particular moment, or the energy that is held inside of a certain thing, that now going from a solid to a liquid would be like going, from knowledge to emotion. Okay, because knowledge doesn't move. Knowledge doesn't really move. Energy in motion, or emotion, just by its very name, we see that motion, and we know that there's movement involved, right? Oils move. You can pour oils, you can smear oils on people, you can rub oils on people, and of course you can do that with a crystal, but it's not the same. So the active moving electronic force of a crystalline structure would be the oils of said structure. That's the emotions coming out. I mean, even us as humans, when we're feeling certain things, there are different oils that come out of our skin as a result. We even have pheromones that we give off, and many of these things can be contained and cultivated in a liquid form, right? So yeah, what does this have to do with anointing, right? You're talking about pheromones now. So the thing is, when we talk about that idea of empowering, or if we talk about the idea of charging a force to do something, that's basically what the anointing is. Like, I know for a lot of you guys, and a lot of you have come from the church background. A lot of you haven't, but a good amount of you have come from a church environment, and you've probably heard the term anointing before, and unfortunately, a lot of people, not everybody, but too many people, don't know what it actually means. So they'll say things about the anointing and they just apply it to anything. And there's different forms of anointing. And again, I want you to understand, we're not talking about Christian folklore right now. Christianity does not have a monopoly on the idea of the term of anointing. It's very old. Anytime you had a king that had to be installed, kings were always anointed first. They were anointed to the throne. They were empowered to the throne. And there were certain powers that they were imbued with, but a certain charge that they were imbued with by the anointing that they were given. Okay. So the anointing becomes a covering, just like oil. You can coat your skin or cover your skin in oil. But what happens is that the oil or the anointing then discriminately uses the vessel or the encasement that it anoints for a certain purpose or rhyme or reason. So for instance, if you say, okay, I have this knife and I'm going to anoint it with oil. Well, you're doing that because you're now you want that oil to manipulate the vibratory structure of that knife so that knife will do something. Okay. So that's how it works. The anointing is for using. The anointing is for something to be empowered towards something. It's not necessarily to bring in the presence of something. Like I may do a spiritual bath or something, or I may impart some of my anointing to another individual. But there's different forms of my anointing. My anointing may come in the form of presence. That's my Obatala aspect. The Obatala aspect is a presence that's going to be available to you, right? Or just going to be with you. Let's say not available. It's going to be with you. But the thing about that presence, the presence of a divine energy, doesn't actually charge us to do anything. A lot of times we'll say things like, well, not me, but people will say things like, I feel the presence of my ancestors, right? And, I'm not as mean as you guys think I am. So there's a lot of things that are said sometimes that I don't say anything because you don't want to burst. I don't want to burst every bubble. I'm going to burst some of your bubbles. I'm not going to burst everyone. Excuse me. I'm just drinking a little. So you don't feel the presence of your ancestors. You can't feel the presence of your ancestors. It doesn't work that way. Your ancestors are always present because they're inside of your blood. They're always there. Just like the force that would empower you, Obatala. That's why, they often say that Obatala owns every head. Obatala shapes the heads of humans. So we all have an Obatala presence within us already off the bat, but you don't feel Obatala. right? Because even when you look at the forms, and I know this is like, is this a Thunderground Thursday or Foundational Friday? Because he's hitting us with all this spiritual stuff. It's both. It's a Thunder Foundational Thursday. So yeah, the idea of Obatala's presence, it doesn't bring the active force that sometimes you think it does, which is that feeling or that energy in motion. What it brings is a stillness. So there is a form of anointing that we all carry with us already that brings a stillness. It's a presence. And then there's another form when we start using our oils and whatnot in our spiritual work that we use to bring power, to empower something. So you're not feeling the presence of your Egun or the presence of Oshun or the presence of Ogun or Shango or the presence of Dada or the presence of Nanan Buruku or the presence of Olokun or the presence of Orisha Oko or the presence of the Iwoko. You're not feeling the presence of the Iyami. You know the presence. Presence is a knowing. See, that's why Obatala represents that mind aspect. You feel the power of your Egun. You feel the power of Oduruwa. You see, you feel the power of Eshu. There's a difference. And I know it seems like it's so slight, but it's not actually, because we use the oils and things like that, or that anointing aspect, or that anointing activity. We use that in order to invoke the power of something that is already present. You see, so I may say, hey, we're going to make this Obatala oil with rue, a sage wash. We're going to mix, some sage wash with some rue and a couple other things. I'm not going to give you all my oil recipes. That's for the webinar, but you still ain't going to get all of them. But so you may say something like that, right? And in doing that, we're not trying to make Obatala present. What we're doing is we're empowering ourselves towards an Obatala Ire or Obatala's Ashe. You see, so it's just like you have someone who's supposed to be a ruler, an Oba or a Kabiesi or Nkosi, right? And they may be born into a family where it's like, listen, this is, you're this, it may be like a monarchy where it's coming down through a family line, right? But they may not be installed as the king or the queen immediately just because they were born into a certain family. Well, they have to learn first. They have to be trained. They have to be educated. They have to get to a certain place via their rites of passage, so forth and so on. And through that, then they're able to take on the anointing / empowerment of what the Oba represents, or the Alafin, as we spoke about when we dealt with the idea of Olofin, of what they represent. Okay, so again, what does this have to do with anointing? Well, hopefully you figured out, because I have been referencing, not just rambling. But so what is it? How does it tie in, right? So a lot of times, right, people, and those of you who are consistent listeners of the show, you know what I'm talking about. People call in a lot of times and they'll say, I do rituals, I've been doing rituals, and nothing happens. Right? Usually talking about ancestral rituals. Usually people are trying to tap into the vibration of their ancestors, or they're trying to tap into the vibration of the Orisha, and they're like, nothing's happening though. I'm not getting anything, basically, right? So I'm going to explain what that is. What that basically is you're not empowered to tap in at the level that you would like to tap in. You don't have the empowerment. Now, the presence of your Egun are always there. But in order for something that's present to make a manifestation that you can feel, they need enough energy to present themselves in corporeal form, right? And then you need enough anointing or empowerment or sanctioning where you can withstand the power that comes to you from their motion, their energy in motion. So how do we get this, right? And when we make our oils, how do we make sure that, everything is in alignment? Okay, I made this oil to anoint my statue with my Eshu, or this oil to anoint my children, because I spoke about that this Sunday. I'm big on that. Working with oils with your children, because you're empowering and you're covering them in certain ways, right? When does it not work? Right? I need a little bit more drink. Give me a second here. Groove out to the background music for a second. Okay. So when does it not work? Well, there's an alignment of things that has to happen first. So for instance, when people call in and like, I'm doing ritual, I'm sitting, I'm lighting my candle, sitting in front of my shrine, I don't feel my ancestors. Well, now we know that it's not that the presence is not there. The presence is always there. Because if you think about that for a second, could you ever really be disconnected from your ancestors? And I mean to the point that they're lost and you're lost and you two can't find each other? No. I mean, let's look at it from spiritually and using our spiritual logic. No, that's impossible. But you two can be so weak that you can't feel each other, because typically it's a feeling you want anyway. That's what you're saying. I'm not having. I don't feel them. Okay. I'm going to tell you the number one reason, and I'm going to break it down, but I'm going to give it to you hard and cold first, just in case before my sentence ends, the new world order comes and the internet shuts down. Obedience. Submission is the key to empowerment. Okay. So now that you got that, in case something happens or somebody assassinates me through the window, you got that part. Now I'll explain it. Need more drink. Someone will say, hey, I laid before my aunt. I'll say, okay, well, I told you to do this ritual, that ritual, that ritual, that ritual, right? Did you do them? No, I didn't do everything. So if a big old man came in, right, and shared something with you, right? A big old man, because I have a spirit inside of me. So for that spirit to move this big body, magic. That's a form of sorcery. We're engaging in a form of sorcery every time we're directed by a spirit. Because if a spirit moved like a little candle flame, or a spirit moved like an incense smoke, you'd be like, oh my God, you'd go crazy. Well, how special is it when a spirit moves a person to do something? That's a whole lot heavier than a flame, So when you think about it, the idea of me giving you instruction and you not following through with the instruction, you've ignored the messages that have come. So that whole, I sit in front of my shrine and I don't hear anything, you already heard something. And you're already showing yourself to be disobedient to what you hear. It's always one of my questions that I tell people, or I ask people when they tell me, oh, I'm doing this, and nothing happened. Okay, well, did you do what I told you? Nope. Okay, so why would anybody want to talk to you? You haven't completed your steps. And it is through your submission to the mission that empowerment comes. Who holds Ashe? Eshu, right? As a little pop quiz. Right? Eshu holds the Ashe. Eshu is the trickster who controls the road and make sure really the consequences and the karma of Olodumare is meted out. So that Eshu does. Okay. So Eshu, being one who lives between both worlds and being the messenger, delivers the messages to you that, for what you're supposed to do. He knows what you're supposed to do. You don't do it, but then you want something else. So Eshu says, you don't get the next step until you complete the last step. Now, I have this crown for you, and I have a whole entire kingdom for you to control. But you refuse to go through your rulership training. So I can't give it to you. I want to give it to you, but you won't let me. You just won't let me do it. You ever had something, for those of you who've raised children, you ever had something that you wanted to give your child? Like, okay, my first motorcycle. I got my first motorcycle when I was, I don't remember. I'm bad with time. It was I started riding when I was 8, but I wasn't riding my own bike. I was riding my friend's. It was somewhere between 10, I don't know, between 8 and 12, let's just say. It was somewhere in there, because it's all pretty much the same. I mean, I was just a little big head kid who looked like Charlie Brown, the African-American Charlie Brown. So I remember I got this bike, right? I saved up my money, and my older brother's friend was selling a Kawasaki KDX 80. And at the time, I think I was riding an RM80, but the KDX was bored out to 100 cc's, which made it a much faster bike. This was not a kid's bike, but I'm like, yeah, because I can outrun cops in this bike. That was my whole thing. Like, yeah, I can move on this bike. So I didn't know how to ride properly, though, right? But I had the dough. I had the money I was a little hustler when I was a kid. So I had like grown people money, grown up money. So, I had my first business at 8 years old, actually. So he sold me the bike. I think I paid $425 for the bike, right? Which was like a giveaway because, I was like a little brother to him. So the day comes and I finally had the last bit of money because I was $20 short. And I did something. I had my $20, went to get the bike. And my older brother was like, listen, let me ride it first. He said, that bike is really fast. It's not like what you basically been riding mopeds. That bike is fast. So let me show you how to ride it first before you get on it. So now I'm feeling like, no, like he's trying to play me out. Like, no, you just want to ride my bike because I'm going to have, the hottest bike in the neighborhood. So I'm like, I got this. And he's like, listen, hollering me up. You don't listen, dummy. Let me show you. I'm like, nah, I'm doing, get off me. Stop playing. That whole thing that little brothers and big brothers do. So after saving up for, some time to get this bike, right? I pick up the bike. The bike had a busted chain, right? Which was another impediment to me actually riding it. So I had to fix the chain. Took it to the garage. I fixed it myself, right? Start the bike up. Man, it's 2-stroke engine. So it sounded tough, right? I get on the bike and I blew the engine in about 4 minutes. And I wouldn't even say, it might not have been 4 minutes, maybe about 2-3 minutes. I didn't even make it all the way around the block. I'm racing out of the driveway, peeling out, come out of the drive because there was girls outside. So, you know how little boys are. So I'm showing off. And because the way it was bored out and the way you had to shift the gears, it was a different experience. And I overheated the engine, warped the entire engine, and ended up having to walk it back. And we lived at the top of a hill, so I had to walk it up the hill. And my brother's just standing there and his friends. And the sun is like in my face. I can remember this like it was yesterday. Sun was in my face. And I'm walking this thing up the hill and like it's a slow walk. And they're just laughing and looking. And I'm like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. You see? And then I finally get it back, and my brother was like, "What happened?" And he knew what happened because he could hear it. You could, when the engine blew, it made a noise. It was like, man, poof, 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 poof. So they knew exactly what happened. They said, "Yeah, he showing off. He just blew the engine." So I was like, "Oh, nothing happened. I'm just bringing it back because I want to tighten up something." They're just laughing at me. So basically, long story short, because it's even longer than that, believe it or not. I even bought like matching gloves for the bike. I mean, I was anticipating this bike, you know. What happened here was that I didn't have the anointing, the empowerment to ride a bike with such power because I was not submissive to the training. My older brother was trying to anoint me and empower me because my whole family, we're all riding. My father, uncles, so I come from a family of motorcycle riders. So, ride or die. Basically, you start riding at a young age. We used to get taken to school on the back of the motorcycle. So I don't remember when I first learned how to hold on. So this is something a skill you have to have in my house. And you got to be willing to fall on the bike, which I did. I remember when I was 6, my father, my brother, and we slid underneath a tractor trailer in Harlem, one day in the rain. And you got to get back on, So my brother was trying to impart his anointing, which was his knowing, to me. Okay. And that empowerment would have allowed me to handle the responsibility of the power of having that machine. But instead, I just wanted the machine. I wanted instant gratification. Okay. And what happened? My system wasn't strong enough to deal with it, blew the machine up. I never rode that bike again. Never rode it again. I ended up selling it literally for $5. For $5, I sold that bike because I didn't have the money. I was a little frustrated. Then I had the money to fix the engine because to fix the engine was going to be extremely expensive. No one was riding with me at that point. I mean, I couldn't petition anyone that lend me the money because it was just like, no, you had that coming. So I ended up selling it to a motorcycle junkyard for $5. I bought pizza. Okay. So energy lending to you, it's empowerment. It's endowment. You now become empowered to go to the next step, to go to the next place. Okay. And that's why a lot of times when you guys are doing rituals or you're doing half behind rituals, you're not feeling the power of the spirits that you're working with because you haven't built yourself to be one to handle the power. You would die. Think about how many people get initiated to Ifa and then go out there and tell everybody they're Babalawo. No, you know how dangerous that is? Remember, Orunmila is Ileri Pen, witness to all creation, witness to destiny. He knows your time of death. Now, you know what that really means? I mean, one of the things it means, let's say. It means that he has power and dominion over death. Babalawos have power and dominion over death. You can't really kill them. Real Babalawos. Okay? Real Babalaos. Not your weekend Nigeria initiates. Take a plane Nigeria, come back and start rounding up godchildren and apotebis. Not those guys. Real Babalawo. Okay? Now, once you have dominion over death, there's a certain imbuing of power that you have to have in your system in order to withstand that level of ashe. You see, that's a higher level of spiritual anointing. that few people have. I mean, few people can even take that. Now, when you're working with oils and you're working with spiritual baths and things like that, what you're doing is you're charging your system and you're charging your body in order to be able to withstand and take whatever level or whatever energy. Like, let's say if you're doing, you're making an oil to infuse the aspects of 10 to your system, right? What you're doing is you're empowering your system to do something with 10. See, an anointing is always to do something. If you're not going to do anything, you don't need it. You see, you don't even need it. So if I haven't followed my last set of instructions, then that anointing that I'm trying to do to work with 10, or to really to have 10 work with me, because when you're anointing, it's the other way. That energy or that force works with you so that you can do and be something. Like me allowing my older brother to work with me would be so that he could shape me into the motorcycle rider or the big bike rider that I was supposed to be and had the right to be, because the bike was present. You see? So did I have to feel the presence of the bike? No. The presence is a knowing. And I didn't have to be excited anymore about, oh man, I got to get this man. I got to keep hustling because I don't want him to sell the bike on it. Because what? Presence brings what? Stillness. Obatala brings stillness. Oduduwa, which is a feminine energy, which is the empowerment, right? Oduduwa brings a moving and a shaking of things. This is why the feminine energy is chaotic, because it's movement. It's power. Empowerment is about movement. When you're empowered, you don't sit still. You ever been to a bembe? When you are aware of the presence that lives inside of you, you're cool. You're cool about it. Why do you think every 5 minutes I'm not sitting here saying, do you know who I am, though? I'm really a big deal. Let me tell you my other name, and then go to the Ifa Council in Nigeria and ask them who this person is. You'll be really impressed. I don't do any of that, because the presence of the energies that were imbued inside of me when I went through my process, I know they're there. I don't need you to tell me. I don't need external validation. I know they're there. So therefore, I'm chill. The knowledge of a presence brings a stillness. The active force or the empowerment of a presence brings a stirring, brings a movement. Empowerment is movement. So when you're looking at the community, you know, this is Thunderground Thursday, you all, and you're seeing a lack of movement, it's not because there's a lack of knowledge of presence or knowledge of who's with us or our ancestors are with us or whatever. There's a lack of anointing. Look in the community. How many elders do you see actually handing down anything to anyone underneath them? And how many people do you see who are actually worthy of having anything handed down to them? You got people who are just taking it, and they can't really take it, but they're just taking title. I'm the new this. I'm the next that. It doesn't work like that. It's false. So therefore, you don't really get the actual empowerment. You see? So when you go through your slow process, because for some of us it has to be slow. That's just how it is, you know. Some of us can move a little faster, but some of us, you know, take your time. When you start like working with different oils and different herbs and learning the alchemy of things, you start to allow yourself to be submissive. What is submissive? Sub means under. Missive or mission means like a plan. So submission means to come under the plan. So if I submit myself to the force of iron, then now through my submission of my force of iron, I can take on the gifts and the endowments and the bestowments that iron has already given me, that I wasn't able to use yet because I didn't receive the anointing. I wasn't obedient to that. You see, that's like someone signing up for my class and not doing any of the activities. Yes, a lot of you have done that. And then you wonder why I don't talk to you that much. Because I'm not giving you anything else. You didn't do what you were supposed to do. Or it's like all of the people who call into the show and you know they need to sign up for the class. You call in every Sunday because they're trying to make the show their they're trying to make the show their class. You're not going to be empowered that way. Now, you may come into knowledge and you may even have the anointing of the presence of that knowledge, or know that those Orisha are present in you. Those Egun are present in you, so forth and so on. We could go on. The Netir are present, Netaru, are present in you. But you won't be empowered to do anything with them because you didn't submit yourself to the process, right? You think we have things like initiations and consecrations. And in those moments, those of you who've been consecrated by me and those of you who have been initiated by me, you know, you're not in control. You know, I'm not going to tell you, you know, what happens during initiation or consecration, but you could probably imagine you're not in control. I mean, you ain't doing it. You could probably at least imagine that it's an experience where someone is doing something to and for you, and you have to open yourself up to receive that. And through your opening up yourself to receive that, what you do is you crack the lamp. What is the lamp? We broke this down in a show I did on the pineal organ. The lamp is the lamp of God. What is the lamp of God? Well, the Son of Man. What is the Son of Man? The pineal, the first eye. When we rub it, right, we shine it up, kind of like an anointing. We shine it up. And if we go so far as to open the lamp or to break the lamp, what comes out of it? Oil. So when we can remove ego and we can remove the hardened shell that exists around us, then the motion, the energy and motion that's inside of us, that spiritual oil is allowed to flow out. And from that spiritual oil flowing out, you can then anoint other people. Because it takes humility to impart your ashe to another person. It takes humility to do that. I was listening to someone the other day. I was out. And he is, people call him a Babala, okay, and a teacher, right? And I'm listening to the guy, and I'm like, man, he is so egotistical. And I mean, to the degree that, like, it's not even like he doesn't even try to hide it. Like, it's not even. It's almost like not recoverable. Like, his whole spiel is his ego. Like, that is his whole selling point, that I'm this and I'm that and I'm that and I'm that. That's the whole entire spiel. There's nothing else that he really talks about except for what he is. So I'm looking at him and I'm saying to myself, you can't do a thing for anyone. You can't give anyone anything because you won't let yourself crack open and let that sacred incense that's inside of you come out. And that sounds crazy, but that sacred incense, that spirit, because you have such a hardened shell around you, no one will ever get anything from you, you know, other than the idea of your presence. You're here because you keep telling us, you know, but you'll never be able to share anything. You'll never have any students, real students. You'll never have anyone that you can, when you're on your deathbed and you're ready to go, hopefully by then he will stop all of that. You got to be able to put your hand on your children and say, here, and anoint them before you head up out of here. And they have to be submissive and obedient enough to respect what that means and to receive it. Everybody has to be submissive to the mission or the plan. The plan is the soul's plan. That's what you submit to. You ain't got to submit to anything else. You ain't got to submit to a spook god. You ain't got to submit to a spook Orisha or a spook ancestor. You ain't doing any of that. Not necessary. But that soul mission is what keeps you focused on your glorified form, or as we say in the Kabbalah form, Hod, that's Sephiroth. And your glorified form, or your glorified intelligence, keeps you from getting entranced in your humanity. See, your eyes should always be looking towards, I mean, now I'm sounding like a preacher, but should be looking towards glory. And you know the reason I sound like a preacher, honestly, is because most of the stuff they're teaching is stolen legacy. I'm sure a lot of you read that book. So sometimes you're going to cross some of the stuff here. But, you know, when you remove your eyes from that, then you begin to see what you are. And you get wrapped up in your own egoic idea of what you are. You know, hey, we're already doing a preaching thing, so let's just take it there. It's the Adam and Eve story. What happened after they ate the fruit? That God energy came into the garden and was like, hey, man, first of all, where are y'all? Can't see you because now you're clothed in sin. But then he says, you know, they were hiding in the bushes and everything. And they also realized they were naked, you know. And he slaughtered a goat so that they could wrap themselves in. You see how messed up that is? When people are just disobedient, the innocent always have to pay for it. So because these two decide they want to eat the fruit, now a goat has to be killed. Well, isn't that like the ebos you do? Because you don't want to be obedient to your readings that you received last year and follow through with all of the prescriptions and the things that you're supposed to do. Now, this year, you're in emergency and crisis mode, and you're coming to my shrine saying, Baba, I don't care, whatever we have to do. We got to do a goat. If we got to do 5 chickens, I don't care. Let's just do it. So the innocent always have to pay for your disobedience. But see, the reason they also like looked at each other like, oh man, I see your ding dong. And he was like, oh, I see your frontal butt. You know, the reason that happened was because they removed their eyes from the source of their anointing. And now they look down at each other. So now they're seeing their humanity. Whereas before, when they were looking towards the source of their anointing, only thing that filled their eyes was their glorified intelligence. You know? Yeah, that anointing is a deep thing. So I'm giving you guys some thoughts. I'm drinking again. In terms of what you're doing with your community work, but also in terms of like when you're going and you're doing spiritual work, understand that when you're working with anointed oils and things and you're anointing a sacred object, it's because you want that object to be used for something. It's no different when you're anointing yourself. It's because you want yourself to be used for something. That's the direction of anointing. It goes from out to in. We could look at it like that. Or like in the case of like I shared with my older brother, it goes from top to bottom so that I can be the next soldier. You see? And then when I go, I'm going to anoint someone here. Take my power. And those of you who have worked with me, that's always been the comment. Hey, when you touched me, I felt, I'm not going to share all this, but you know, I felt this or this happened or boom, 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 boom. Well, that's what that is. It's that anointing. Okay. And you don't have to be a Christian to have it. You just have to be obedient to your mission. And then you'll be powerful. You'll be powerful. And why do this if you're not going to be powerful? Why go through all this? Why run through all those dollar store candles and bottles of Florida water and make these little dirty liquor stores rich with all the rum and gin if you're not going to be empowered to the point that now you're so humble you don't need any of those things because you crack open yourself and you let your own spiritual oil flow out. Yep. So that has been our Thunderground Thursday. Thank you all for listening. And make sure you sign up for the webinar on oils back again so you can learn how to anoint things and get deeper into the sacred science of anointing objects and using anointing oil and preparing and creating your own anointing oils. And I want to say, for those of you, I still see people with their hands up in the beginning, we'll catch you tomorrow. I'll be back here tomorrow for Foundation of Friday. Hopefully there'll be no glitches. And we'll be able to build and talk. tomorrow. All right. Until such time, be well.
Greetings, everyone. I'm Kim, host of Anu Asafo, co-host of Chief Speaks, and a member of the Sadulu House Spiritual Center. And I would like to invite you all to Sadulu House's webinar, The Magic of Essential Oils. This webinar is the second in a series of webinars where I discuss herbs, oils, and alchemy in order to be more effective in your spiritual work. In the Magic of Essential Oils, I'll discuss ways to make your own oils, explain how to use oils to open and activate your pineal gland, show you how to use oils to anoint sacred objects, and much more. For more information and to RSVP, go to anunation.org/anu/events/oils. This valuable information that will empower you to be more efficient and knowledgeable in your personal spiritual work. We will start promptly on October 12th at 7 p.m. and it will last until 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you're registered before the date of the event, and I will see you there.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.